Hi, it's Kate's Garden Chicken and Cat Rambles, and all the teenagers were out. This is day 2 of the Great Outdoors. I'm not going to go in super close because I was too lazy to change my shoes, but it's a little after 6:30 or so, and I have left their door open. I'm going to leave it open till bedtime. The little white ones were acting like they were a little cold, so I went ahead and turned the heat on in there, and it's supposed to get down to the 30s tonight. But after tonight, it's I don't think it's supposed to get cold again at night. I mean, it can, but if I feel it's a little too chilly, I will just put the little radio on back in there. So tonight's probably be the last night that they'll have any heat. And so today, while I was working, mounting the new nest boxes, I made a couple shorts about it. Miss Luna kept coming over there and doing her little flirt moves on column. My laddie wasn't looking, of course. Hey, you guys. So tonight I will not put their food and water in there with them. I want them to know that, food and water is something they get outside the coop, and I don't want to attract anything. Don't want to try to get in there, mice or anything. Not that we have really any mice or anything around here between Chaos and the big chick. I mean, I never see mice outside. I'm sure Chaos has something to do with that. I don't see them inside either. Not that the inside cats would chase them, but everybody is doing well. So it's been fun watching the young birds. Yesterday they really didn't move past hanging out around their door. This morning they were pretty much staying around the door. I worked out here in the big coop all day, and they were in and out. But I found that if I do go over there, if I sit on that stump and call them's name, they'll come out. This one's a little shorter, and I think I'm going to put it in there with them. But they did venture all the way out to the far end of their little chicken run paddock. There's the Brahmas. So I don't know if they will use the new nest boxes. I mean, they're between, the height range goes from like between 14 and 16 inches high, and then it's a good 12-inch square, but they are big girls, but they might. Nobody laid today, not even Luna. Luna didn't lay yesterday. So she's been my constant no matter what the temperature or what the weather is. And so has Miss Neve right there walking towards me. Cuba's laid a couple, but I think now that the days are longer, and it'll pick up. Oh, you're over there flirting with him. But the light colored egg I got the other day, I realized it was one of the Brahmas. So the Rhode Island Reds, I'm starting to wonder if she didn't give me older chickens because of the difference in their combs. But I mean, it really doesn't matter. It's not like I'm going to get rid of them or anything. And I think, they're still adjusting, but I'm going to get some egg maximizer, add some different vitamins to their food, and see if I can't get everybody producing. I mean, between 5 hens, I should be getting at least 2 or 3 a day, every day. But I know when I'm out here making a lot of noise and with the drill and the saw that I think it stresses them and they don't really want to lay. And sometimes on those days I'll come out the next morning and there'll be an egg or two, like they decide to do it at night. But one of the Rhode Island Reds has been sleeping in the favorite nest box at night, so every day I have to clean poop out of it. And I don't know if maybe my girls don't want to go to their favorite nest box because there's poop in it. I don't know. But probably by the end of this month, even though April can be, we can have some cold days in April. Probably, I can't really say by the end of this month. Probably by mid-April, I will have all the interior wood, that coop will be dismantled and the tarp will be taken down. I will probably go ahead and leave this tarp here where you see the drink, where it says Dunkin' and you see the drink and the donut, on that corner, because in the summer, until you get to about noon, the hot morning sun will beat down right in there. And so today I had that whole side where you see the soda all unhooked and peeled back, letting the morning sun get in there. But I think that corner, because that's where their food and water runs along this, here behind this wall, because it keeps rain from blowing in and getting their food wet, and this comes, once that whole thing becomes just one big coop, once everybody's integrated, then of course their food and water will always be outside. But because I don't always close the little chicken door on their wall, especially now that we're not having crazy blowing, freezing weather, that way they can come out and be in their run in the morning and have a drink and a snack before I come and open the gate and let them out into the yard. You guys talking to Luna? They're just little girls, Luna. So this is the divot where I used to have the fire ring. It's where where they looked for the septic tank, and it was where there used to be, I guess, I don't know if it was an old cesspool, but there was like an old benches and concrete down there where they had bypassed, where they put in the septic system. So that piece of ground's always had a little bit of a divot. So I think I'll put, they have some dust bathing. I ordered some dust bathing. It's ash and sand and some other things. So I don't know if I'll put it in a tub or if I'll put some there in the corner of that. Or maybe, make that a good dust bathing spot. The other girls have dust bathed in it, but when I cleaned out and raked everything up, I kind of leveled it back out. But you can make a spot for them to dust bathe, but doesn't mean they always will. Sometimes they just want to dig their own little hole and do it in their own little spot. But since these guys are pretty young, I got some extra 2x4, so I think I'm just going to make a little square and put the dust bathing stuff in there. I thought about putting it in a little tub, but I want to be able to water to drain off of it. So here is Flower and Daisy. If you're new, Flower has the little black tips on her right side wings, and Daisy doesn't have really anything. And I don't know if you can, let's see if this, I can get close if you can see it. So you can see a couple places on them, like at the top of their wings, where you can almost see their skin. And I picked them up and checked them over to make sure they weren't being picked on. And I think it's just because they're so white, and once they, I think, fill out. Yeah, they're exploring, standing on the logs, and they are actually much braver and less flighty than the cream leg bars. Cream leg bars are notorious for being a little bit more of a nervous bird, a little more flighty, a little more freaked out. This morning, one of them did get out. I didn't put any cover over right there by where their door is in that little corner. And they were all out there feeding, and Laddie Roo decided he wanted to getting busy with one of the Brahmas, and she wasn't going to have it, and so she squawked and kicked him off, and it startled one of the cream leg bars, and she jumped up there on the edge of the fence in that corner. I was hoping she'd jump back down in her little area, but she didn't. But and I didn't know this about them, but her hackle feathers and her crest on top of her head all like super stood up and spread out, like she just, like electric shock. It was funny. And so she hopped down, and I went out and was able to catch her and put her back in. And for a while, they stayed like really bushed out. What are you two doing? These two are funny. They'll, they're, siblings. I call them siblings because they were hatched together. And so they stick together, but they will stand up to each other and push out their chests and stretch their neck and give attitude. They're just so cute. But anyway, it's about 10 minutes of just rattling about the chickens. But anyway, I left this little space behind there. So anyway, I cut some more of this mesh and used the little green zip ties and put it so that nobody can fly out. And once they are ready to leave this little grow out area, if I take them out of here, then I will clip a wing, because I just don't want them to be able to fly over the fence. And depending on if I decide that I'm going to use this coop and just keep the cream-crested leg bars separate, I will go and I'll extend it all the way down to the yard. I just didn't want to do that right off because we're going to get some Premier One fencing and be able to open up this part of the yard all the way over to the mint patch. So, and the mint patch is right here. Of course, none of it's growing right now, but so that'll give them a lot of yard, and we'll stop it back here. This is where one of them is buried. Yeah, this is where brown one is buried, and this is where Una's buried. But that way they'll have more yard. And tomorrow I'm putting the peas in. I'm, 3 weeks, putting them in about 3 weeks later than I normally would, but we've just had this crazy weather, and I've had to get these things taken care of, and the gardens just had to come second. So you can see it looks a mess. This was the hibiscus that got damaged. I'm pretty sure it's all dead. It was many years old. But I'm going to put the peas over here where I had green beans last year. And I bought some special netting mesh to go between the rows for them to climb. But I'm going to put a lot more peas in over here. I'm still going to take all this okra down. And I'm trying not to touch it because if there's any kind of mold or anything, it'll make my hands itch. But they're pretty, I can manipulate them now. But I'm probably still going to have to cut a bigger hole to get them out of here. And so there's the cover to one of the lids to the septic tank, and I think the other one's like over there under where that dirt is. So this part probably from here. So 2/3 of that area I will not use. I mean, I might put some like wildflowers or something, but I'm pretty sure the tank's is running that way. I mean, it could run this way, but I don't think so. I believe it's running that way, the way those are configured, or the way they are, whatever. Anyway, but this corner I think I'm going to extend and do okra from here out, because that's an area that is hot and sunny all day long. It gets a little shade late in the evening, but not enough. But this little maple will have to leaf out, and we'll see what it's doing. If I need to, I can extend the okra out here and kind of do just do like a wedge shape, just make an L shape to make sure it stays in the sun. But I'm gonna do raised bed, everything except for the peas. So and of course, the tomatoes and all other stuff are starting in the house. So it's really, the only thing that's really behind schedule is peas, me not getting them out sooner. But with the way we've had this weird weather and strange ice storms, they wouldn't have made it. But I gotta weed all that stuff out of there. It's amazing. There hasn't been, this stuff's been down for so long, and grass will find a way. Weeds will find a way. So the peas are going to go over here, and that will mean that they will get actually more sun this spring. And then over here from probably, you know, well, those where those boards start. I think the septic tank is probably right there, but I'm still going to do a raised bed and do things in big planters and pots, so it doesn't really matter if it's, you know, they can be moved. This is, you know, bedding pile. I'm going to pull it out here to this area here and burn it. Probably, well, our March has been windy, but today would have been a good day because it's not quite so windy, but that's a lot to move and burn. And the new pile and compost pile that I had started inside the coop, of course the big chickens have spread it back around, but it's just Paul and I, and so by the time I put scraps and stuff out there, they pick through it. But it was here, so I may, because this is the one spot that sometimes these fences is part of the driveway, it's off a little bit lower, and this is where the north wind, I might end up getting a couple pallets and just making a box so that they can't really get in there and do this. This was nice and piled up all neat. In this corner, it was just on top of that old pallet frame. And look, they've scattered it back around. Yeah, it was like, how dare you rearrange our stuff? Yeah, this is the hay and poo you guys weren't even interested in. But I put it in a pile, and all of a sudden it makes it a hot commodity. So I put that up today. I'm probably not going to put it back down. We're not going to be having a lot of cold out of the north. That is the only reason that blue tarp has been draped up there, because north wind comes right in there. But all this is going to come down and be rolled up. There is the 6 foot by 8 foot shade cloth at this end, which I'm going to take off, and that I'm going to put on top of the little coop. I'm going to staple it to cover their roof, their exit, and about 2 or 3 feet on the other side of their little, so they'll have some shade. And because a lot of light comes in through that plastic, and I don't want it to be too hot inside their coop, like at night, because it's not going to be as open air. But up here, all of the wood that you see right there pops out, and will just be it's a double layer chicken wire, so they'll have plenty of ventilation. And I am going to drill a couple little peepholes, but so that's where we're at going into spring, and I'm pretty sure that we will be going into spring. I mean, we'll have probably some crappy weather in April, and a few years ago we had a freeze on May 1st that killed a whole bunch of stuff that I had in the ground. But so all of that tarp will come down and be rolled up. This is just surplus tarp. I want Paul to take it to the shop and throw it in the big commercial dumpster and get rid of it. Because I think if I roll this up, it's not all full of spiders, and this could have, who knows, spiders and moldy and wet and yucky, and I don't want to touch it and handle it. I'll just roll this up and it can be used next winter. That's just surplus plywood. So I've gone through all that wood that was stacked here. I don't know if you saw an old video. These are old pallets, and these are like custom made pallets for big billboard signs. So, I can cut them up and use them. I may cut this one up into 3 pieces, so that can be the walls too, where I'm going to put the new compost pile. And that will probably end up just being something that the chickens get to run and play on. But anyway, I'm sure if you've seen the shorts, you've seen the new nest boxes. I mounted them there, and they're mounted to a 2x4 that's mounted to another 2x4 that's on the outside of the run. And then I cut pieces of 2x4 that just give it a little support from the bottom. It's not really what holds it up, but it does give some support, so it's not all pulling down on the wire. But anyway, I'm hoping that to have all that tore out of there, removed and dismantled. I don't think I'll use that configuration again. But I do think, I don't know, I'll probably have to take that whole wall down, because the way it's mounted, there's a tube of 6 by 12 that was cut down, and that's what that wall is mounted to. So to get those sides out, I'm gonna have to take off that I don't know what you call it, header, whatever. It's whatever the door hangs from, but that'll all come out, and then I will reconfigure the those nest boxes in there will come out, and I will I think I will leave that indoor nest box there on this left side here in there, and I think I'll just make a little slant roof for it, because there's going to be just roosts going down across the back there, kind of in a ladder style, and probably across this right side. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. It's 20 minutes of me just rambling about chickens and crap, but if you find it interesting, thanks. And it just felt like it takes me forever to do anything. Like, this took me several hours just to get that mound and everything cut, but I do everything slow, and I have to double measure and check. I'm not a carpenter, and I'm just so bad about not making plans. I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants as I'm doing it. But anyhow, everybody's doing good. See, there's Luna at the fence with Column. He's gonna be a beautiful rooster someday. And she's like, I know, he's so cute already. She's flirting. Of course, she has strutted up and down the fence, you know, making sure that they know she's the head hen. And they're all seem frustrated that they can't get in there and be with them, but that was my big fear when Moira, one of the cream leg bars, accidentally got out this morning, that before I could get out of their yard, because I was inside their yard, and I can't stand up, so I have to kind of bend over and get out and get the end locked. I was afraid that one of these girls would have seen her and come out here and get her cornered up and be messing with her, but they didn't. They were dust bathing in the pavilion. So once I get the gardens going, I still need to clean out the front garden bed, and I've got some more hardware cloth with bigger holes, which I'm going to cover up a majority of this pallet with, and grow wheatgrass and chicken grasses, so they'll come up between the boards, and they'll come up with between the hardware cloth, and the chickens can eat it, but they can't get out and destroy it. And then I still got to use this. I'm going to use this thin plywood here to put 2 more walls on their little pavilion, a back wall which faces the east, and then one here on the right, which is pretty much the southeast, and that will give that'll give them some protection when we have tropical storms or anything coming up from the southeast coming in. But they like to get in there, but I'm going to leave it open enough so that they can when they're sitting on their roost, they will have a windbreak, but it'll still be open at the top, and here along this front side will be totally open, but so they can get in and out. This other wall will of course go all the way down to just like on the left. The back one, I'm just going to do it from the perch halfway up, probably halfway across where these 6x6s are, and then just enough that when they're sitting on those perches, they will not be in the wind, but it's not going to go all the way to the top, because I still want to get good airflow. Because I know I sound like a broken record, but Delaware is very humid, very hot. Mid-Atlantic is just like the Carolina coast, you know, it just can be miserable. I still need to thinking whether or not I'm going to dismantle their little feeder playground thing, but they do like to stand up there on those perches, and I put snack blocks out there on that so the block's not on the ground. And I'm probably going to get them a lavender one for, you know, summer. It gives them something extra, but so I may leave it there, but we'll see. And I move the stumps around, you know, about once a week, let them eat the worms underneath. I would still like to find another silver lace Wyandotte, but all together, you know, there's the 5 in there and then the 6 out here. So that's 11 birds, 2 of them roosters. And until I know for sure how these 2 are gonna lay, I got a little, today I had ordered a little, it's made by a company in Australia, but it's a little saddle dress for Marigold. Just in case she seems to be, the little raw spot on her back is where, Laddie's being a little too aggressive. But they've only been here 3 weeks. This Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday will make a full 3 weeks they've been here. So hopefully, now that the days are longer and everyone's getting settled in, we'll kick up the egg production. Yeah. So, like I said, I don't know if the Brahmas will use the new nest boxes just because they are so big. They need something that's more at least like 14 by 14 square and taller. But they, chickens, they like to squeeze themselves in the small places, so they may. But they're not familiar with it. So I wanted to get those nest boxes in here mounted, and some of them getting familiar and curious, and I picked up the Rhode Islands and set them on there, and then they explored, and they kind of seemed like they get it. And those, I just put a little bit of shavings in there because those they have a plastic little where they nest, and then the eggs roll down into a little catch to keep them from getting dirty. So if you put too much stuff in there, or you put a nesting pad in there, then the eggs don't roll down. It kind of defeats the purpose. I could probably get some of those little ones they're made of rubber. They have little nubs on them. That might work in there, but they're also designed so that if they poop in there, it just falls through the bottom too. So we'll see. But I wanted the layers now to get used to the nest boxes, because where they have been laying will disappear in a couple weeks. And then I'm sure once these guys are integrated with everybody, and this big 5 by 15 run becomes a great big will be a 10 by 10 coop. And I'm gonna leave, I'll leave this one end of the run. I'll probably be able to just move that wall that mounts to the ceiling, just move it down another 5 feet. And then that will be what can be enclosed. But all of that's coming out, and we'll be just getting it ready for the open air. On the bottom there are 2 pallets that the floor rests on. I'll take the floor out. I'll leave those 2 pallets because they make perfect little rest for starting the roost bars. So they'll probably have a roost that's about as high as the floor is now. They'll have a roost another 16 inches up where you see that little crossbar in the middle, and then I'll probably put one a little bit higher at an angle in this back corner. And I could the only reason I keep the roost there to the back is so that I can walk in there and not bonk my head on stuff. But I may put mount a long roost along this north wall. We'll see. But come summer, like I said, all this tarp will come down, and this side of the coop will have shade cloth, so that they have air, so that they have plenty of shade in the morning, and then in the evening I can lift it up. And I just it's tough here to have enough shade for them, and these big birds, they do not like the heat. The Brahmas are okay. They're a breed that come from part of their heritage is coming from India, but none of these are gonna really like being super hot. So anywho, all right, I'm gonna end this. It's at 30 minutes of me rambling about my chickens, but that's what I do, and I've just felt accomplished today getting those nest boxes done, and glad I can really start focusing on the garden and that kind of stuff. Take a little break from construction for chickens. But it's just great to see them out exploring. I figured by now they'd be going into their coop, but because the temperature's dropping pretty quick, and it getting darker, I figured they'd be like, oh, it's getting dark, we're scared. But yeah, they're being out curious. They got plenty of stuff to forage. So there they are, the 3 cream crescent leg bars and the 2 Leghorn, gold laced Wyandotte crosses. It's the teenagers. All right, you guys. Have a great week. Bye.